Welcome to the Inspired Riding Podcast. I'm your host, Beth Lauren Parrish. As a certified riding instructor, remote coach, and rapid transformational therapy practitioner, a powerful form of hypnotherapy, I'm here to remind you to slow down, trust your intuition, and really deeply listen to your horse. And this will make for the best co-creative dances possible, whether you're on the ground or connecting on their backs. Thank you so much for being here, and here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to the Inspired Riding Podcast. I'm Beth Lauren Parrish, and with me today is my guest, Jana Wagner. She's an amazing animal communicator and energy healer. And today we're going to flip it around. She's actually going to interview me about the topic of riding instruction, because that's the season this year that I'm going to focus on, is helping riding instructors, giving them support, and that will help, of course, trickle out into the whole horse world. So thank you so much for being here, Jana.
You're welcome. I'm super excited because this was a little bit my idea, last year?
Yes, it was, and we kept forgetting.
Here we are. This is exciting. So Beth, tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you come up with the name Inspired Riding?
Okay, so I started riding at the age of 8 on Long Island. My family was not into horses. My great uncle had passed away and he had been into fox hunting. So my way of grieving was actually asking my parents to take riding lessons in order to keep it in the family. So I started taking riding lessons, and then I found another riding school that was way better than where I started. And I pretty much rode once or twice a week, every week until college. And I got to do a lot of local schooling shows. I got to lease some ponies over the summer. I got to go to summer camp where I rode every day. I mean, I was just a horse crazy girl just outside of New York City. And it was a blast, and I loved it. I was very, very much into learning as much as I could. And I always had that drive to do more. I did a lot of the lower level jumping. And my trainer was actually a dressage trainer. She worked with Ann Gribbins. So she started installing dressage without me even realizing it. And then later when I graduated college with a degree in international studies at UNC Chapel Hill, I came back to New York and I thought, I think I would like to maybe do something fun. So I ended up getting a job up in Maine, a summer camp where I could start teaching riding. And I had never taught before, so it was really a big deal to start someone from the ground up. And so I was teaching beginners the first few weeks, and by the end of the summer, I was teaching kids how to do beginning jumping. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is my calling. So then I came back to New York. I started living with my parents again briefly, and I found a job, believe it or not, in Manhattan at the Chelsea Piers Equestrian Center. It started out as the Manhattan Riding Center. Anyway, it was at the Chelsea Piers all the way on the west side of 23rd, where you could see the Empire State Building from one side, and you could see the Hudson River from the other. And there were probably 8 or 9 other instructors. And since I was living on Long Island, I would go way early because you never knew what traffic was like. So I would get there an hour or two before my lessons would start. So the manager started allowing me to start schooling the horses. Then I would start grabbing other instructors and say, hey, will you give me a lesson? So I think I took lessons from every instructor there. I went back to my childhood instructor and started taking weekly dressage lessons for real with her so I could start to get that solid base down. And I was just entrenched in it, absolutely loved it. Then it got too cold. So I moved to California. I lived there for about 8 or 9 years, met my husband. I established my own riding school. And I started actually Inspired Riding when we decided to move to Texas once we got married. I had been in this space where I'd been working with other people. I had business partners, and it was always sort of working, but not really. There was a lot of different energies with the people I was working with, and we had some pretty ugly falling outs, to be clear, full disclosure. And so there was a point where I'm like, I don't know if I ever want to work with anyone again. I think it's just going to be me and my business. Fortunately, I've found amazing people I can do collaborations with, and that makes my heart so much happier. But in any case, when I moved from California to Texas, I really had this idea of making sure we listen to our intuition and making that a priority in all of our riding lessons, whether it's the student listening to their intuition and or the instructor. I think it's so important that if we get these intuitive hits, we need to start saying them out loud and feeling safe in a lesson environment. Now, the reason I say that is because the first fall I had, where I had a metal plate installed in my forearm, I had a voice that morning say I was going to fall, and I did nothing about it. And at the time, I was working for an instructor. She was the head trainer, and we were retraining thoroughbreds off the racetrack. And there was one in particular that I had fallen off several times already. And he just had a really nasty buck. And this morning, I just had this little voice saying, you're going to fall. And, I'm in my early 20s, and I just had that feeling like I have to just do my job. I have to make my trainer proud. And I just kind of like put my head down and would do my thing and cowgirl up and just get on the horse. I didn't know too much about groundwork. I didn't do that much lunging. I did do some lunging, but not very purposeful lunging, let's put it that way. And so at that moment, I just got on the horse. We started going around. He was going along beautifully, nice, easy, blasé kind of trot. Sure enough, across the street, construction was happening, huge noise. He bucked so hard, I flew off and had a compound fracture in my arm. And I remember waking up from surgery 4 hours later, and the first thing I said to myself was, I knew I was going to fall, and I did absolutely nothing about it. And that was really the pivotal moment for me to go, okay, we have these intuitive hits. We'll get feelings, we'll get voices, we'll get, our spidey senses, we'll get images, we'll get a stoplight, like, oh, maybe I should slow down a little. Any little message we need to start paying attention to. And if we don't, we could get hurt. So that was my huge message. And now I wanted to make sure that every rider out there, for the good of themselves and the good of their horses, feels safe in their lessons, or even when they're riding on their own, to go, you know what, I need to dial things back. I might need to hop off, and that's really okay. So there you go. That's where inspired riding came from, because thinking of getting inspiration while you're teaching was huge for me. So I would just go, okay, what does this student need right now? I'd ask my heart, ask my inner guidance, and then I would get like downloads of information as I'm watching them go around. And of course, I have a really solid basis of the basics, classical dressage as well. So that helps to combine it. It's not like I'm just making stuff up.
Right.
So, but
right.
Yeah. And then of course, tuning into the animal communication as well, I would also ask the horse. And the horse would give me messages even sometimes before the student would notice something. And then I'd ask the student, hey, how are you feeling? And it became this beautiful conversation between all three of us. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it really starts to not only empower the student, but empower your horse, and starts to create just this beautiful cyclical conversation where it's not teacher tells student, student obeys, teacher is happy.
Exactly. Oh, the word I was thinking was, it's a beautiful trifecta of connection. There we go.
Ooh, I like that too.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm all about conversation. It's so interesting to hear you talk about it, because hearing that our teaching styles are so similar, because we're always listening and asking for feedback, right? And taking in what that student needs at that time. So like even when I teach somebody animal communication, I'm listening for what's their learning style? How can they best take these skills and run with them and be empowered? Because I know when I met you a few years ago, I was in a really kind of hairy place. And to be able to like take your tools and pick your brain about it really helped me get my courage back after getting injured myself. So this might be more of the same, but like, what excites you? And like, what do you love most about teaching? Is it the conversations? Is it the sharing of wisdom? What is it for you?
Honestly, it's when I see like a really big transformation happen, even within a lesson. Like I'll see it over multiple lessons, and I'll make note of it. Like, hey, remember where you were a few months ago? Like, look how far you've come. But like if we're in the middle of a lesson and there's like a sticky moment between the horse and rider, and then all of a sudden the rider will just start to breathe and soften, and I'll encourage them to visualize what they want and thank their horse. And then all of a sudden the flow starts to come back. Like those little moments where you can shift gears from this might not end well, to, oh my gosh, this feels so much better. Those are the parts that really excite me. And and I get so excited because then I'm like, look, see, you did that. I'm just the guide here.
Mm-hmm.
You and your horse is the real teacher, of course. And it's just amazing to see when those light bulbs go off. I absolutely love that.
I've got full-on chills. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
So you mentioned what you want to bring to to other riding instructors in this season. What is this season looking like for you?
I would like to give support to riding instructors. There we go. Get the word out, Beth. In a way where
you have such a beautiful mind. Like sometimes the words like
exactly, like when you're used to so much telepathy, you're like, okay, words work. We can do this. My husband's used to it by now. I have like my own language. I'd like to give them more support and help them believe in themselves more. I mean, as you know, other people might not listening to this or watching this. I'm also a certified hypnotherapist, and shifting into that role has really given me gorgeous insight into so many old beliefs that people are holding on to that are holding them back from success. So I want instructors to not only feel supported in a way that they have the tools to know how to interact with their clients, interact with the parents, interact with other barn members, and then build a business with clear boundaries and making everyone feel safe, especially themselves. And then having that innate self-belief where they can really create the life of their dreams. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to. And the more these instructors are happier and they're supported and supporting their students, then the better the lives of all the people in the horse world and the horses will be.
Right. Bringing more vibrance, no longer playing small.
Exactly.
And being able to just really step into who you are and why you came here.
Totally.
Love that. So how do you stay inspired?
I love watching other people do their thing, whether it's on social media, YouTube, or just my own students. They'll send me a message and go, guess what I just did? And it just gives me the chills. I'm like, yes, you're getting it. Go for it. It gets me so happy to see that. So just like other examples of people stepping into the light and really feeling brave about, moving forward and having fun, especially in times like this in the world where things are pretty dark. If we're brave enough to still share our joy, and horses bring a ton of joy. And if we can tap into that and keep sharing that, then the light will keep getting bigger. That's what helps to inspire me. Of course, reading. I love to read. I love to, learn as much as I can. And I learn from every student in every lesson as well. So that helps me stay inspired as well.
I know you've really helped me not only be braver in the saddle, but be brave enough to honor my feelings, my intuition, honor my horses, and especially slow down. Because I don't think I'm going fast, but I am. They've really helped me expand that bravery on being okay with less is more. And, that's a great question. What does something like less is more look like for you?
It's so interesting. I was thinking about that before we started the podcast. I've found, especially when training young horses or getting on older horses that are building back their endurance, the old trainer in me would push and push and push and get greedy, right? And now I've learned that if you get to a spot where you feel like you still have like half a tank left of gas, maybe even 3/4 tank of gas left, hop off and thank them and surprise the heck out of your horse. Like you can go that slow. Literally, I got on Pepper bareback the other day, and I hadn't ridden him probably in 2.5 weeks because of the weather. And he was standing at the mounting block waiting for me. First of all, that was really cool. I hopped on with just the bridle and my helmet, and we walked around. I walked over one pole each over that was set up in the arena, so maybe it was like 6 or 8 poles. And he walked over them perfectly, super straight, really easy. And I just hopped off and thanked him. And he looked at me, he goes, "That's it?" I go, "Yeah, that's it, Pepper." And he thought that was amazing. So it just really depends on the horse and human, of course. But like the idea is when you feel like you want to do more, notice if that's you, if that's the horse, and if there's a way you can just dial it back and end it sooner, then the next ride, more than likely, they're going to give you more because they are just so impressed with how you're not drilling, and horses don't enjoy being drilled.
No, they don't.
Yep.
No, they don't. I've got one that says, if you're going to drill, get off. So, could you give us an example of how you would go about checking in with yourself and checking with your horse to have an idea of if it's you that wants to do more, if it's them that wants to do more?
That's a great question. So many of you know who are experienced in inspired riding, I encourage everyone to dial in your inner compass. So it's basically getting a yes, this feels true feeling in your body, or no, this feels false feeling. And you see me on the video, I'm leaning forward for yes and lean back for no. You can create any kind of feeling you want. The easiest way to start is just saying your name. So I'd say my name is Beth, and I get a feeling, yes, this is true, I lean forward. Or I can say my name is Charlie, and then I get a little tightness in my throat, that's just normal, and then I lean back. So the more you dial in super simple, very clear, yeah, that's definitely true, and yep, that's definitely false, then you could start to dial that in with your body with more important things like, I feel ready to ride. I feel ready to canter. I feel ready to jump that course. And if your body's like, no, okay, let me get curious. Maybe I need to do this first, or maybe I just need to stop today, or maybe I can come back to it and just do one jump. So you can get really specific and detailed with your inner compass. So going back to your example, you can say, I feel ready to do more. And if I get a yes, okay, and then I say, my pony is ready to do more. And then I get a leaning back, or it's just neutral. I'm like, okay, I'll get curious. What is he really wanting to do? So I'll say, perhaps he wants to just go once more around and then we'll stop. How's that sound to you, Pepper? And he'll go, yep, I can handle that. So you can get that specific and detailed with your yeses and nos. Of course, I just said it really fast, but this is something you can practice like for weeks and weeks and weeks, months, and then you're going to get it so tuned in that you can just like think it and you'll just know exactly. My favorite, yesterday we were in Sprouts Market and we were sharing with this beautiful couple how to muscle test just like that, the yes or no, for a different college, and they were trying to figure out which one would be best for the wife. And so we explained it, how to do it, and her eyes got so big, like, wow, that's so cool. I'm like, right, we all have this innate wisdom in our bodies that'll tell us what's good or not.
Right on. I know I do that with all of my foods, my supplements, everything. But you know what I just discovered, and listening to you talk about the example, was like as soon as you said my name is Beth, and I tested that for myself, my spine went rigid.
Oh, yep.
Completely like,
not me.
And I went, oh, I never felt it before. And so I'm wondering how often I do that when I'm sitting on my horse and asking the question, because I'm used to the swaying or just picking up on the knowing. But if they're feeling my spine go rigid, no wonder they are too.
Yeah, they feel everything. That's so good to realize, and now you can use that for your advantage.
Yeah, especially just this past Saturday working with my new horse. All of a sudden I felt everything go rigid, and it's just making sense right now.
I'm so glad that clicked in. Yay for more aha moments.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep paying attention to if my spine starts to go rigid. Because we all know if developing a horse, you want flexibility, elasticity, movement through the spine, right?
Yes, definitely.
Relaxation. So if mine's rigid, he's going to do it too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, with my tight throat, I remember while I'm riding, if I just move my jaw around and like sigh it out, do the horse sigh, that helps soften everything too. So if it starts to get tight where I'm feeling a no, I have to remember to counter that to relax it. Yeah.
If someone reminded me to sing to my horse, which I do anyway, but it was great to have the reminder. So it was the name song the other day.
That's so fun.
I got a kick out of it. My horses really enjoyed that. So I highly recommend the name song. Okay. So speaking of inner compass, I'm just going to muscle test for my next question.
Oh, I love it.
What is something that surprised you while teaching?
How even while teaching, your horses they're tuned in with the student, but they're also very tuned into the instructor. So I'll give you an example. My most amazing heart horse that's since passed, his name was Biffy. He was an Arabian, Polish Arabian, and he was the most steady lesson horse ever. He would take care of the kids. If they're off balance, he would stop. Pretty much worked with every level. I would get on and we could just do whatever. He was just amazing, right? So one day he could sense that I was just in a mood, and I don't remember exactly what it was. I might have been sad about something, but I was teaching this little girl and she was trotting around just pretty well, actually. Every single time Biffy would get really close to me, he would start flapping his lips. And it would make me laugh so hard because he would only do it right when he got next to me. He was so tuned in that he just needed to help shift my energy while he was taking care of his precious cargo. And it just makes me like tear up thinking about it. He's like, I'm taking care of everyone right now.
Wow.
Isn't that the coolest? So they're so aware of everything. So I just want people to remember to honor that. Honor how amazing these horses are. That one, they let us sit on them. Two, they let us shape them. And three, they're really wanting the best to help the vibration of the world raise up, you know.
Yeah, they're such dynamic creatures. And I know something I share a lot with people is remember to let our animals give back to us.
Yes. Yes.
We do so much for them. We care so much. We worry the heck out of ourselves. Am I doing everything right? But if we take that moment to pause, like you talk about slowing down, we slow down and let them give back. I mean, the beautiful ways, gosh, my heart just like went, oh, Biffy, just, taking care of everybody all at once. I mean, that's a skill.
That's truly
a tremendous skill.
Yeah, that was quite the surprise. And then one other cute surprise, I think it was that same arena. It was in 𝙬𝙤𝙧𝙨, California. It was a really neat little barn. Anyway, this one beginner rider, she was a sweetheart, an adult rider, and she had just been learning to go off the lunge line, and so she was going along, doing really well, just along the rail. I said, okay, let's see if you can make a circle on your own. She goes, I can do that? Like she didn't know that was a possibility without the lunge line. It was so cute.
Oh my goodness.
So for me, it was like reminding myself to get into that beginner's mind, like, yeah, you totally can do that. And let me break it down for you to show you how it works. Like, I didn't like laugh at her like, oh gosh, this woman, she doesn't understand anything. Like I laughed with her, like, this is so cute. And of course I can show you how to do this,
Wow. Yeah. That's really fun.
Right?
Those fun moments that come through in this uncomplicated moments.
Exactly.
So this question's a little bit similar to earlier one, a little different context. If you could teach a masterclass to other instructors, what would the topic be? And can you share 3 key points you would focus on?
Gosh, I have so many in mind. Of course, the first one would be, your intuition, teaching about the inner compass, getting them to learn it themselves, teaching it to their students, and then making it a safe environment so that way if a student has an intuitive hit, they're not going to just brush it off and say, oh, the student's being difficult. Like, hey, let's really examine what this is. It could be an honest fear. It could be there really is something going on with a horse that they can feel that you might not be able to see. Or it could be just they are really intuitive and they're like, something's not going to be good in the next few minutes, so let's just stop for a moment. So I want that to be a highlight in a masterclass for sure. The other side of it is with my international studies background and traveling around the world, I got to study in Switzerland and got to travel around Europe and even got to go to Israel for 10 days. I learned a lot about different cultures. So the key is, if you always start with curiosity instead of defensiveness, that's going to shift a lot of things. So I think I could do like a masterclass on barn diplomacy. I learned a really good lesson with someone who, she was just not having a good week. And I started to take it personally, and I got really defensive, and I came at her in an ugly way. All I could have done to shift that was say, hey, are you okay? And then we could have had a conversation about, yeah, she's having a really bad week. This is what's going on. This is why it felt like she was lashing out at me, but she really wasn't. A lot of miscommunication just comes down to leading with kindness, asking people, are they okay? And then if there's an actual conflict, what I learned, actually Lisa Nichols in her masterclass, she came up with this beautiful statement. You can just say, in this situation, what would be a win-win for both of us? So you're opening up the door for them to contribute, and you're not putting them on a defensive.
Mm.
And that can go with your students, can go with their parents, could go with your staff, your other barn mates, other instructors, things like that. So, of course, I can go more in depth with that. But those are the key points I think are really important. And I see a lot of the forums where a lot of the instructors just don't know how to create really clear boundaries and stick to them. And that's a really important thing to help everyone feel safe, especially the instructor. So that would be part of it too. Yeah.
Right. Because horses are a service industry that I think needs to be remembered.
Yes.
Because you're not only, I think a lot of us get involved because we love them. There's nobody that's in horses that doesn't love the horse. And maybe we don't like people so much.
Right.
So that we have to learn to people better. So it makes a lot of sense what you're saying.
Thank you. And that's something I'm really proud of, is that I love working with people too. So I'm kind of an anomaly in that I love working with people and the horses. But I start with the people, because once the people shift, then the horses can go, oh, there's my human. Thank goodness.
So if you're kind of talking about setting a tone with barn diplomacy, which is a new term to me. I like that. If you're thinking about setting a tone, how might you go about doing that? Like, what's the energy underneath that you would encourage people to bring to the table?
I would actually just look at what they've got first. See what sand is in there to create your castle. See if you need to add extra sand or not. And then literally write out, I think the easiest thing to do is start out just writing out all of your wishes of what you'd want. How would the most ideal situation be at your barn? And then you can start to implement rules or guidelines, and then maybe just start have meetings and saying, listen, this is where we're at. This is what we need to have happen so it could all run smoothly. And this is what we do if there's an issue that comes up. And have it super clear. Clarity equals kindness. Yep.
That's right. I love that one. Clarity equals kindness. I think I have that written on my wall for a long time. I need to put it back there.
I love it.
Words to live by. Okay. How have you shifted your way of teaching over the years?
How long do we have? There we go.
As long as you want. Your podcast.
You need to get to your barn and ride your horses too. Just kidding. Oh my gosh. Well,
should I set a timer?
I was very blessed to learn from incredible instructors as a kid, like I said. And so I had a really good basis of teaching. I literally what's the word I'm looking for? Is it categorized?
Maybe. Yeah, keep going. See if something else comes.
I remembered. Let's put it that way. I remembered every single lesson that I had as a kid, pretty much with absolute clarity. If you ask me what I took in college, I'll say, I think I did these classes. But so let's just put this. I have really beautiful basis from all the lessons I took. So like I said, my child instructor was a dressage trainer, upper level. She really loved centered riding. She actually got to do clinics with Sally Swift, which is really cool. So I have a lot of great basis from there. She used to call the centered riding book the Bible. I mean, it had so many wonderful images and clarity in there. So I started with that. However, I was also very much of the instructor of I tell you what to do and you do it. And that was just, I had some leeway in there, but it was mostly like the trainer tells you to do it, the student does it. And if there's a problem, we can take a break if you need, but then you're going to go do it again, right? So that was my beginning of teaching. Like, that's just how it was. Trainer knows best, right? So years go by and I see, maybe I should take a step back, especially with the first arm break. And I learned how fear is a huge elephant in the room when you're teaching, and that if you don't recognize it and acknowledge it and accept it and actually thank that fear for showing up because it's trying to keep you alive, and then you can start to shift how you want to approach your lessons. So now I look at my students where if there's something that they don't want to do, I tell them, I was like, hey, you got to let me know if you don't feel safe to do something or if it doesn't feel quite right, tell me. We will take a step back. Even if you need to get off and do some groundwork or just be done for the day, that's okay. So I've really shifted into that. Let's go with what it feels right for you, your horse, and I'm just there to guide. So that sums it up pretty much. I had some incidences where I really felt like if I hadn't pushed a certain student, maybe they wouldn't have fallen off that pony, and thank God they were okay. But I could see now as I look back, as a kid pushing them because I knew they were really talented. Their ponies are really talented. And I was like, fine, you can keep going. So now I'm like, no. Less is more. And so I tell my students, hey, if I think you're ready to do something, I'm going to wait 2 or 3 more lessons before we actually do that next thing. And nobody complains. They're like, okay, that's good. That means I'm going to get a really solid foundation before we move on. So that's how it shifted quite a bit. And it took me getting hurt too and understanding that my intuition was so important to make that shift.
Yeah, it's something really valuable to remember that as we're beginning new relationships and new partnerships, like what our platform is, what is our foundation that we're building on, and then just revisiting and remembering, okay, this is my foundation, and like you said earlier, look where we've come. If you revisit that foundation. I love that.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I also want to note that I still send love to my younger self and go, it's okay, you were just working with the skills that you had then. And I think that's an important thing, to give yourself grace and not beat yourself up about things that you did in the past.
Right.
Yeah.
And then past memories too will pop up and revisit to remind you of where you're going. So it can be a little bit about your foundation also, right?
That's true.
Yep. Interesting. I love that. Do you have a transformation story about a student that you would like to share?
Yes, it's an adult rider that rode with me in California, and she had a lot of fear. And we used to joke, she would hold on to the saddle horn, especially if it was time to go a little faster or beginning to canter. And she would call it Death Grip 2000. She would just hold on to it. Even though her body was balanced, she would have been fine, but she just couldn't let go, right? So we finally got her, I think it was a round pen lesson, I finally got her to let go. And it was a really beautiful moment because I told her what my husband mentioned, this really great analogy for when you go into a canter transition. It's like you're just hanging out in the grocery store, just doing your thing, and around the corner, someone that you absolutely love, that you haven't seen in ages, just comes around the corner and surprises you, and you go, and you just kind of lift up, and you get that really fun energy, right, that comes out of your body. I was like, imagine that. Next thing, she's cantering, she's not holding onto the horn, and she's like, what just happened? So she then went on to lease her own horse, and she would ride out on the trails, and she would message me and say, Beth, I didn't do, Death Grip 2000 anymore. I'm able to ride with my arms out, cantering free. I'm like, that's so cool.
I love that.
It's super sweet. I mean, I have so many, but that one in particular really stood out. Yep.
You mentioned RTT, which is Rapid Transformational Therapy, which is a type of hypnosis work.
Yes.
What grabbed you? Like, what inspired you to go in that direction and bring that into what you already do?
I love this question. Well, I had already been doing so much teaching, over 20 years of teaching by then, and the common theme was building my clients' confidence. And I had a lot of tools already, and my students are always doing so well. And then I had a remote student who told me that she started doing hypnosis to help her confidence, and it was starting to help her. So to me, I thought, you know what? I think I might want to try to add that in my toolbox. I think that would enhance my client's experience even more. And then just before that, I had been taking some Mind Valley classes. Mind Valley is a platform online that's all about self-development. It's phenomenal. If you guys haven't heard of it, they have so many classes you can take. I had already taken Marissa Peer's, I want to say it was Abundance Now course. I couldn't remember, but I just remember how she would bring you back to past scenes to help clear them and rewrite your story. And I just loved it. And then the way Facebook ads work, they must be plucking things from my mind because they knew I'd already done the Marissa Peer course, and I might have been talking about hypnosis out loud, and my phone picked it up. Next thing you know, it says, here, do you want to be a hypnotherapist, a certified hypnotherapist? And here's a program. And it was, you can do it in 7 to 12 months. And I got it done in 7 months. I was like voraciously learning. I loved it so much. It was an intense program. And that was one of those where I feel like I had been thrown into the Grand Prix arena and I still just had training level 1 under my wings. And I'm like, okay, let me get my bearings here. And I was like, am I in over my head? But after the third session with another student, I was so impressed with how I was able to shift and learn from each session that I was doing. We did, I think, about 6 different sessions with different students. And then the 7th one, it gets to go on video with the school and they evaluate it, right? And I got the most beautiful evaluation. They said they loved my voice. They loved how I handled my client. And they said I'm going to be super successful. And they were not wrong. And I've had the most amazing success. I think I've done 125 sessions since then. And that was since May 2022. And they've been all online. And not only horse people, but anyone who's got anxiety or anything holding them back in their life. This particular modality is absolutely incredible because Marissa Peer created this program to help rapidly. First of all, she talks about the idea of if you had a root canal, you wouldn't go to the dentist and talk about it and then go back and talk about it 2 more times, and maybe the 4th time he'll start working on it. You get to working on that root canal right away. So we get to the root cause, literally, of the issue and work on it right away. And then you reprogram your mind with a recording for at least 3 weeks in a row. I mean, every day for at least 3 weeks. And the combination of therapies that she put together is absolutely a beautiful sweet spot. And it's magnificent to see how people can shift so quickly. Like, I can literally look at the clock and see, okay, it's been 45 minutes and they already look different on the screen to me. Like, they look lighter. It's so cool. Yep. So that's just a snippet of it. I could talk like 3 more hours about that.
Well, I think 6 of those 125 sessions were me.
Yes. You
sort of topic.
You've been so amazing with your evolution. I'm so impressed with you.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
know they have profoundly helped me. And I was sharing with Beth the other day because we did a session a week ago today.
Yes.
For fear of falling, because I still have that from my first horse, who liked to bolt and buck me off.
Yeah.
Why do I still ride? I don't know.
Because we love it.
But I was sharing, yeah, right. I was sharing with Beth how I found it amusing because most of our sessions together go something like this. The first memory that comes up, that's interesting. Okay. Next memory comes up. I start getting giggles because it's so funny. The memory that's coming up is just ridiculous. Like, why is that holding me back? And by the third one, I'm just full on tears because there's so much tension leaving and relief and understanding happening that it's like those movie reviews you used to see on TV all the time. Oh, great, I laughed, I cried, and the ending was perfect.
Laughed, I cried, and the ending was perfect. I love it. Yeah.
That's been my experience with RTT with Beth. And she's right. And those people that gave you the feedback, they're correct. I mean,
Thank
there's
you.
something about your energy and your voice and your tones that just really puts you at ease. I played my recording this morning after my puppy got me up at 5:30 and I went back to bed. So I played my recording this morning and I was like, out.
I love it. That's awesome.
But I do have a question about RTT for you.
Yeah.
How do you explain to people who are inquiring about this? How do you help them understand that hypnosis isn't about playing mind games and tricks? Because I know that's a fear a lot of people have, or a hesitation they have with doing this kind of work.
Yeah, there's a difference in stage hypnosis and hypnotherapy, first of all. So hypnotherapy basically is just getting you into a meditative state that you can do on your own, just scrolling on your phone or watching a movie or driving home and not remembering all your turns, right? And you're like, oh, I'm home. That's a form of hypnosis. And you're always in control. So I tell them, hey, if you need to open your eyes, go to the bathroom. If someone comes to the door, come back, you get relaxed. Everything in hypnotherapy is all about you being in control. So in that sense, it's very much like self-hypnosis. So you don't have to be concerned. There's no way I could tell them to give me all their money because I'd be rich by now, right? So, yeah, that was
transfer all your funds to this number right now.
Yeah, and I see those on there's inevitably one like episode on maybe it was like the TV show Leverage or something like that where this hypnotherapy guy, hypnosis guy was doing it. I wouldn't say he was doing therapy. No, not at all. He was doing more of the stage hypnosis and just getting away with a lot of gnarly things. So yeah, that's not what we do. And basically we could really do all of it in a sense. A lot of these tools can be done without hypnosis. It just helps the conscious mind to chill out, and your subconscious will bring up scenes that you wouldn't even realize needed attention. And that's the beautiful thing about the hypnotherapy is you get this really powerful understanding at that point. So if you allow yourself to really relax and go with the process, you can get some gorgeous awakenings and insights.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know I really have enjoyed it, and I've gotten just so much out of it. And I like to say that I save my RTT sessions for the big stuff. Mm-hmm. The big stuff I've been trying to chip away at and just won't move.
Right.
And then I get to a point where I'm like, I am done with this. Let's blast it.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, and then you're actually your subconscious is ready at that point. It's like, and then it's almost starting to do the work before we even do the session. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And I was getting antsy because we were supposed to meet like 5 days later, and I was like, well, we need to do this sooner. Do you have time sooner?
That was really cool. Like, yep, let's do it.
Yeah, I was getting so anxious about it. I was like, oh man, I want to kick this like right now.
And you did. That was cool.
Yeah. Yes. That session was really fun. It was really unique for sure. Anything else you'd like to add that I haven't asked you about?
That's a great question. I think like I said, I want more instructors to feel like they can play around a little bit more with their lessons, in a sense where you can have a plan, but really start to tune into the moment of what that horse and what that rider needs. And if it's completely opposite of what your plan was, just go with it and be okay with that. Give yourself grace, and don't get yourself into that, like, well, we have to be at this level by now. Don't worry about that. Just give yourself more grace and just work with what you've got in the moment. Yep.
Love that.
Thank you.
If you could create a billboard for other riding instructors, what is the one thing you'd like them to see?
Trust your intuition. Create a safe learning environment. And have more fun. I think we can get those 3 lines in, right?
I love it. I love it.
I gave myself chills. There you go.
Send it to the printer.
Send it to the printer. Is that what you said? Yeah.
Yeah, send it to the printer.
Love it.
Slap that billboard up. Beth, this was amazing. I really loved just hearing your stories again, but in a new way. And as I said, I've known you quite a while now.
Yeah.
And I still learn new things about you every time we talk. So I'm grateful to have had this opportunity and to sit in and listen and pick your brain. So thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this. I so appreciate being able to share in this way. It's always fun to be interviewed because I'm usually the one interviewing. So I appreciate your time doing this. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, you guys. Well, remember to lead with kindness for yourself and for your horse. Thank you so much for listening. And please do a review on whichever platform you're on. And you can always check out inspiredriding.com. And please do remember that you are worthy, you are enough, you always have been, and you always will be. Sending you tons of love. May the horse be with you, always.